We're streaming. We're live.
Yay.
Hey, everybody.
Hi.
This is Senior Living Live, and we are live here, back in our studio. And as you can see below, we are talking about what people look for in senior living. And I'm joined today by Mary Kate. How you doing, Mary Kate?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great, by the way. If you remember from our show last week that we did a special at the Arbor at Bridge Mill. I'm getting like 4,000 notifications on my Apple Watch right now.
We're all going live at the same time.
Yeah. So we are live right now, by the way, with Senior Living Live on every single Facebook page for the Arbor Company, which I think is 42 or 43 pages.
I think we're at 43 right now.
There we go. That's a lot of Facebook pages, plus YouTube. And every time you go live on one of those pages, I get a notification right here. So this little thing is like about to vibrate off of my wrist, but whatever. We'll deal with it. We'll deal with it. Thank you for joining us today. So a couple of things to talk about before we get started. We got about a minute before the actual content of the show starts. So you may recall last week we did a special episode at the Arbor at Bridge Mill for their grand opening. Take a look. Go over to seniorlivinglive.com. You can look at our past episodes, which I guess we need to add a better link to past episodes on this page. So let's make a note to do that. So Mary Kate runs our websites, and so she is she's the quintessential person to be able to do this for us to update this. Anyhow, so we are broadcasting to all of those locations. Now, here's the thing. We want you to be watching us live. That's fantastic. We're so happy to have you watching us live. Thank you for joining into these streams. We want to hear from you. We want to hear your comments. Let us know where you're watching from. But here's the problem. This is just like a Facebook thing that we don't have control over. Because we want as many people as possible to see this, and we're streaming to all these different Facebook pages, we actually can't. It's like not physically possible to manage or to watch the comments on all of these different Facebook pages at the same time. So if you would like to say something, feel free to do it and we will get back to you. We just may not be able to do it live during the show. Or if you head over to the Arbor Company's Facebook page, you can comment on that one and we will see that one live on the show. And Mary Kate's got it pulled up.
I do.
And we can take a look at it there. So let's see here. Are we on YouTube yet? I don't know. Well, whatever. Doesn't matter. You're here, so that's all that matters. And Mary Kate's here, and I'm here. So let's get going. Looks like our timer has ended. It is time to start the show. I'll make that thing go away. Also, we are without someone running things today. It's me. I've got my little control panel here.
So fancy
running everything.
in here.
We got it all set up, but we're back. We're running. Everything seems to be working. We got red lights. I see us on your laptop there.
Yep.
And that's what they call Meta, I think.
Oh, okay.
Have you heard that?
I have, but I don't really know what it means.
All right. Well, what do people look for when they are searching for senior living? Well, that's the question that we're going to try to answer today. And I've got a great person here with me today, Mary Kate Spires. I want to say your maiden name. Mary Kate Spires to help me go through that today. But before we get to that, I want to tell you a little bit about what in the world you are watching. This is Senior Living Live. This is a live broadcast that we do, and we, meaning we are the Arbor Company. We're an operator of senior living communities. We do this show every single week. It's every single Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And we've been doing it, I think this is episode like 20 now?
Yeah, we're
Is this the
we're up
20th?
there.
Woo, we need like balloons. You didn't bring balloons. No.
Failed. I got you.
Next time.
Happy 20th
Oh,
episode.
by the way, yes. So Mary Kate you can see, like, it may, it's a little washed out in the lighting. But so Mary Kate got us official Arbor Company Senior Living Live mugs, which we were kind of scurrying to get the show ready today. So they are empty right now. But hey, we can pretend. And next week when we're on here, we're gonna have it. So anyhow, Senior Living Live, we go live every Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern. And the goal of our show is to kind of pull back the curtains on senior living. We recognize that searching for senior living, that looking for senior living, making a decision to move and all of these things, that's typically not something that people make every day, right? You do it like once in a lifetime maybe, or once in your parents' lifetime.
Yeah.
So, understandably, you might not know how it all works, or you may have questions and it's confusing, and, your barber gave you an answer and your butcher gave you an answer, and this is very strange, examples, but they give you answers. And so we wanted to sort of approach it from the realm of people who have dealt with this before. And so we do these shows every week, and we typically take a single topic to try to answer a question for you. And that could be a question that we've done in the past, like how do you pay for senior living? What's the difference between things like independent living and assisted living? We've talked about that before. And then today we're talking about kind of in general, what is it that people look for particularly in senior living. And we do all of this so that we can help you to make informed decisions, and we can help you be a little bit more comfortable with the decisions that you make, whatever they are. You could choose to move into an Arbor Company community. That'd be great. But if not, that's great too. It's whatever works for you. That's what we want for you. So we do all of this so that ultimately you can live the life that you want to live. That is our goal and our mission of the show. And like we said before, we're 20 or so episodes into this. You can watch the past episodes. We're kind of going through some changes here at seniorlivinglive.com, but you can see those past episodes on Facebook, and we're working to get the past episodes up on seniorlivinglive.com.
I have those up today.
Yeah, there we go. Fantastic. So what else do we have to talk about? Okay, next week, by the way, which we'll get into it a little bit more after the nuts and bolts of our show today, we have a very special guest who's going to be joining me. It's author Nancy Kreisman. So Nancy has been a fantastic partner of our company, resource for families that we work with for quite a number of years. And she's an author. She's written several books specifically about caregiving and about dementia care and how caregivers can work in those realms. And she's an expert when it comes to things like family dynamics and things like that. We bring her in as a resource a lot of times if families kind of have some, just questions, or there's some, what we call family dynamics, right? Everybody's got family dynamics. It's just you have it at different times and different levels. But Nancy kind of helps as a counselor. She helps to people to work through those. So I am very excited to have her joining us next week. Now that's going to be Friday, May 24th. Friday, May 24th. We should have known that. 25th. Friday, May 25th at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern. If you can't make it for that time, totally understand. Just come back and watch it. We'll have the recording up on seniorlivinglive.com. You can watch it anytime you want to, and you can share that with your friends and family, anybody who you may find useful. And I'm going to try to do a giveaway. I don't know how that's going to work. Okay. We need to talk about the logistics of how we manage a giveaway. But we do have some copies of some of Nancy Kreisman's books, and I think we can give those away. So if you are joining us live, next week, you will be able to participate in that giveaway. How do people find out when we're going live? I mean, I know we do it every Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern, but what's another way?
There's a couple of ways.
Okay.
So on seniorlivinglive.com, you can subscribe to email notifications. We'll email you about the day before, that little reminder. And then also, we can actually remind you on Facebook Messenger.
That's the cool one.
It is really cool. Yeah. I prefer it. You're already on Facebook. It just sends you right to our page, and you can start watching live. And you can subscribe with that. We have it on seniorlivinglive.com, the link to subscribe. And then as soon as you hit the link, Facebook Messenger will ask you if you want to opt in. And then Chris will message you right before we go live.
Get my little phone out and I'll send you a message. And also, that's a great way to communicate back with us. So if you respond back to those messages, we get those. And if you want to tell us what you want to hear. Like what topics do you want us to cover on this show? We will cover them if you ask. But we don't know what you want unless you actually do that asking. So do that and see.
It helps.
Okay, so do we have any comments so far on the main feed?
Not yet.
I think everybody is commenting away on the other one. So as we said in the pre-shows, we were kind of getting started up today. We're kind of in this process of testing this new feature that Facebook has rolled out. We're streaming live to 40 plus Facebook pages right now, but the benefit of that is that it gives you access to this easier. It makes it show up for you if you're watching this. So if you're watching this for the first time today, welcome. We're so happy to have you. However, it makes it a little difficult for us to see the comments as they're rolling in. So if we do not see your comment, it's not because we're ignoring you. It's not because we don't want to hear from you. We totally do. We just physically cannot see it right now. Unless you happen to be watching us on the Arbor Company's Facebook page. But I don't know of an easy way for you to get there. And I don't want you to stop watching this just to go hunting around on your phone or something. So If you are watching on the Arbor Company's Facebook page, send us a comment. Let us know that you can actually hear us and that things are working.
Yes.
But we're working it through, and and Facebook they're going through changes and doing stuff. So we're just trying to ride that wave and keep up with them.
Yeah.
Right.
It's fun.
So let's talk about our topic today. What was that topic? The topic is what do people look for when they're looking for senior living?
Yes.
So Mary Kate works in for an agency, but does marketing for us.
Yes.
And when did you do these focus groups? We did some focus groups.
Right around November and December of last year.
Okay.
I remember the holidays.
So starting, lots happening. Why don't you just do some focus groups in the middle of the holidays? So Mary Kate held these focus groups with, who was it with actually? I don't remember.
I actually talked to current Arbor residents and current family members of Arbor residents.
Okay. And you asked them questions about what contributed to them making a choice to move into one of our communities, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Why they decided to choose senior living and why they decided to choose Arbor.
Got it. So we thought, it kind of helps us because we want to know what makes people tick, and so we want to make sure that we are, as a company, we're offering what people want. But also, when I was thinking about the show for this week, and Mary Kate was coming on, she was in town, and I kind of thought, well, let's talk about the findings that you got from these focus groups, and let's see if there's anything that we can share with folks. So we've kind of jotted down a couple of notes, just high-level things that we'll talk about, and if there's something that is important to you that's not on this list, or there's something that's important to you that on this list that resonates with you, let us know. We would love for you to be a part of that conversation. Even if we can't see your comment live, other people who are watching this thing right now can see you live. And even if they're not watching live, if they're watching the recording, they can see those comments. And we would love to build a community around this of people just talking back and helping each other and seeing. Looks like we might have had a couple things.
We did. We had a couple people say hello on the Corporate Arbor page.
Hello,
so hi.
people on the Corporate Arbor page. Welcome. Looks like we got Melissa and Lemoyne.
Yes.
Welcome. Melissa is my wife.
She's allowed to watch too.
And Lemoyne is my grandmother.
That's fine.
Isn't that great? So you know what? I've got a little fan club. They watch whenever they can. So, well, welcome. Thank you for watching. I will see you later. Okay, so let's get into it. So what was one of the big things that you heard from people who, when you spoke with them in these focus groups?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I heard from almost everyone was experience and training. So they really wanted, while they were going through different communities, they wanted to know who and this was more on the family members side, but they wanted to know who was going to be taking care of their loved one and also what qualified them to take care of their loved one. And of course, Arbor does a lot of training, but it's something that's important no matter where you are to keep up with things as anything progresses, just making sure that just like we have to keep up with what Facebook is doing, senior living professionals need to keep up with that world as well. So that's something that's really important to a lot of people is that experience, how long they've been in the industry, as well as especially for things like memory care and assisted living, letting, they've had that experience. They know about dementia or Alzheimer's. They are very aware they're equipped to handle it and treat and make things as comfortable for their loved one as possible. So it really is a big thing that's on people's wish lists.
Yeah, I can't agree more. And, we talk a lot on this show about you can move into an Arbor community or you can move into a different community that's not one of ours. That doesn't matter. But what we'd like to do is equip you with the questions and things that you can ask about. So maybe you think experience and training and stuff are important to you or not, but I would still recommend you ask the questions. So when you go in for a tour, when you call a community, ask them, how long has that community been there? Or, probably more importantly, whoever's managing that community, the corporate entity or whatever, if it's a national company or regional company or something, how long have they been in business? How long have they done this? How many communities do they operate? And, then you've got the team locally in the community. So you've got your executive director, which typically is the term of the person who's kind of running that individual community. And then you've got, things like a resident care director who's a nurse, and so on and so forth throughout the community. How long have they been doing this? How long have they been in the industry? How long have they been caring for seniors? Are they brand new to it? That's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's something that you want to take into consideration as you're looking at it. And then on the flip side, for the training, Mary Kate's right. We do a lot of training. We've actually got 2 groups of people coming into town and where our office is in Atlanta next week. We're going to be doing some it's like an annual meeting training type thing. We do training for all of our staff members. Even someone who is may not come into contact with residents on a regular basis, like someone who could be working in a kitchen or dishwashing, laundry room, that kind of thing. They get the training. They get the cognitive care training, and because we see that as valuable. And so I would ask about it. It's not going to be the same from company to company, but it's still something to ask about.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I think too, kind of going off of that, when you're talking to these people, the executive director, people in the memory care unit, the nurses, what's the feeling you get? I talked a lot with people about that feeling, that gut reaction. They immediately felt like people cared about them. And that's something that's so important because this is a new experience and you want people who are going to make it amazing for you. And it could be anywhere. It could be as long as you feel comfortable there and your loved one feels comfortable there and you feel like those people are really going to take care of your loved one and your spouse, anyone. It's just that it was really interesting how many people talked about just right when they walked in, they felt like it was home.
Yeah, and so you kind of did this scientifically, and you were speaking with people in the focus group, but I can say we hear this all the time from people, particularly in markets. It kind of comes out more in locations where we have a community that's not the newest community that's been built there. So, we operate communities that are 30 years old in some cases, and older buildings and things. And, when the new place opens up down the road, it's pretty and it's got, the fresh design styles and all this kind of stuff. And oh my goodness, I want to live here. This is going to be great. But then once you kind of get there and you feel it, and then you come into another community that might be older, it might be, not quite as updated with the current contemporary designs and things like that. You move in, or you're not even moving, you just go in for your tour, and it's got a different feeling. And sometimes that new community has the feeling, sometimes the older community has the feeling. You're just going to have to figure it out for yourself. There's no rule to that. But we do hear a lot of times when you would imagine that more people would be flocking to this brand new community, that they'll come to one of our communities or they'll move into that other one and then change their mind and move back to one of ours because they just like the feeling more. And that's something that we put a big focus on. And one of the things on the list is Arbor is like a family, right? So people get that feeling of being like a family. I think that's important because, we actually talked about this a little bit on last week's show when we were meeting with the Arbor Terrace or Arbor Bridge Mill team. They kind of talked about, or I think I brought it up, where you could see how this could be like the hotel industry, right?
Yes.
It's a place where people are sleeping or whatever. But the difference is that people live there.
Right.
This is a long-term commitment. So you gotta feel it, right? I mean, that's what you heard in the focus groups?
Absolutely. And I even heard the exact same thing where one of the communities was a little older and the potential resident felt perfectly at home. It was just exactly what they wanted. And so really it comes down to that feeling and feeling comfortable with who you're talking to. And almost every person I talk to talk about how much everyone at the communities care about their residents and the loved ones too, not just, they're always know where everyone is. They're very invested. And that's what you want where you're living, definitely.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what I think that
I do
you
too.
want. I mean, and some people, if that's not as important to you, then that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But it seems to most people that they're looking for some type of feeling. And we kind of tend to have that, I think, in the communities that we operate in as a company. And we actually, just yesterday, we were meeting as a leadership team here specifically about our company culture. And we feel that we have a very strong company culture. That word culture feels kind of weird sometimes to talk about. It feels like awkward, like what is culture or whatever. But that is something that we focus on a regular basis, and really at the top of that list is our people, the people that we hire, the way that we train those people, because they're interacting. If you're a resident or your loved one's a resident, they're interacting with you on a daily basis. And as we were kind of going through this culture exercise yesterday and previously in the week, one of the things that we added to it was that we have to recognize that we work in people's homes. This is, this is where you live. And so we have to be respectful about that. And, so when you come to live in one of our communities. It's really, you're coming to live in your community that we just happen to operate. I mean, that's kind of how we approach it. And I think that's, but that's something you should be looking for.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
What else is on the list? Dining, I see.
Oh, yes. Dining was a top option, which I understand because wherever I want to live, I need to have good food.
Forget living, just any day, right?
This is
I mean,
true.
like, I live to eat. You know, if you ever heard of the love languages?
Yes.
I forget the guy who wrote it, but I've always said that there's actually 6 love languages. My 5th love language is chicken biscuits. Not specifically food, but just that.
Yeah.
So that is like my favorite thing.
Yes,
in the whole world.
food is very important. And
What's your desert island food?
that's so
We're totally
hard.
off topic here, but
I love food so much. Right now, this whole week, I've really wanted Panera mac and cheese.
okay.
So I'd have to go with that right now. But you know, there's also chicken minis from Chick-fil-A.
Oh, those are pretty good.
It's so
the
hard.
little honey on the top. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's good.
it's very hard.
But we're not having Panera today, so sorry.
Still get a
Oh,
sandwich
man.
though.
But yeah, there you go. So dining. What do people say about dining?
Yeah, so dining, you know, a lot of times you kind of think about going somewhere and you think about camp. At least I do. And at camp, usually there is a line where you go and get served and they just hand you your
Got
food
the tray,
and you have the tray.
It's, like, it's that weird color green.
It is.
Why?
It always, I don't know. I
yeah.
don't want to think about it too deeply. But you know, you go, you don't really have a lot of options. You say yes or no to whatever's there and there's your dining. Congrats. But everyone kept talking about restaurant style dining and how important that was to them.
That's been big. I mean, we have, what do you say, enabled that, or we've kind of like turned that on in all of our communities. And I know a lot of other companies have. That's kind of standard, I think, now in senior living, is that restaurant style where you go into the community's, you know, dining room or restaurant or whatever, and you, I don't know, you order from a menu, right? I mean,
you have your options. You know, they're good for you, so that always helps. You're not just having Panera mac and cheese all day, as much as it would taste good. But that, and I mean the camaraderie. Everyone's sitting at a table. You have things to talk about. You know, it's not just a formulaic, here's my food, I'm gonna go eat in my room now. It's an experience.
Yeah, and that is something we definitely encourage for residents who live in our communities. That, you know, you may want to go eat in your apartment, but and you can, but you'd really rather eat in the dining room where you or the restaurant or whatever it is, where you can enjoy that conversation. You know, as I would say, like, as Americans, I mean, we're in America, but really anybody in the world. I mean, food is like that great equalizer.
Yes.
It's a socializer. It is what gathers people together, and you really can't discount that. And so, you know, that's a big component of it. So, so we have in you know, and I can't say all of our communities because there are different levels of independent living, assisted living, memory care, but typically there is some kind of dining room or a restaurant with, you know, 3-ish meals per day, kind of depending on the type of care level that you're living under. So check the community.
Yep.
But and then usually they have sort of the typical scenario is that for those meals there is like 2 kind of special items, like this is what the menu is today. It's option A or option B. Plus, we have this thing that's called an always available menu.
Oh,
That not everybody has that, I learned. I have another grandmother who lives in a senior living community that they only recently added that.
Okay.
And so I was surprised to learn. But that's where, so if you don't like option A or option B, that's okay.
You can still eat
You
today.
can still eat. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's not like you're not going to go hungry. There's salads, there's burgers, there's things like that. And even if that stuff doesn't work, they'll usually whip up something. That,
Right.
Our dining directors take such great pride in the food that they make. And we've got a couple of guys who are kind of like the regional directors of dining for our company, and they are phenomenal. And I'm trying to figure out a way how to get them on this show. And I mean, we can do it. I mean, they could sit here next to me and we could do it, but I feel like it needs to be more interactive.
Oh, you need to have like a cooking show.
That's what I'm thinking. We need to have a cooking show and we
Yes.
can make stuff because we've done so many innovative things in dining and things that you can even do at home. I mean, you could live in senior living and get the experience. That's great. But, you know, there's some tips I think they have of things that you could do at home, which would be really cool.
Yeah.
And, you know, things like low sodium, where like
Yes.
salt is like, we don't use a lot of salt.
Yeah,
'Cause you
that's
can-
not.
you can
I've
flavor with other
recently
things.
learned that salt is a little bit of a no-no. Unfortunately.
It is, yes. Yeah, salt's a no-no, and drinking lots of fluids is a Yes, yes.
Yes.
We say yes, yes.
Yes,
instead
yes.
of a no.
Yeah, we can say that.
So that's a big thing too. And I think we need to do a show on this coming up in the next few weeks. But we're coming into these hot months in the summer, which, by the way, spring just didn't happen this year. We had winter and then we have summer. At least where
We're
we
in
are.
the South. That's
I
how it
know.
is.
Oh my goodness. So, but anyway, hydration is a huge deal for seniors, and so keep that in mind. But we'll be talking about that. We're kind of coming up on time here, but let's see what else we have. Levels of care, not having to move.
Yeah,
So what do
that
people
was
say
a
about
big
that?
one. So, a couple people I talked to had actually lived in a different senior living community before moving.
Okay.
And they were in an independent living community. They were, and then something may have happened, and now there was no care for them where they currently were, so they had to move. And that was a hardship on the senior as well as their loved one. They were being uprooted from where they already were comfortable being. So I always asked everyone I talked to for kind of their advice, what they would tell someone who was going through this process. And a lot of people were, find a place that you can stay that has all of the options,
Well, who likes moving? I mean, you've just gone through a move. You're kind of in the process still of going through a move. Is it fun?
I hope I never move again.
That's what my wife said when we moved into our current location. So, and who knows? Maybe that's how it'll be. But
Yes.
yeah, moving's not fun.
It's not. It's really not. No matter who you are, I don't recommend it to anyone. And so I'd much rather move maybe down the hall than across the
Absolutely. And there are times in your life when you do have to move,
Yes.
right? Like, moving from the home that you've lived in for a long time into senior living, that's an appropriate move. But why go through that multiple times if you don't have to? So as you're shopping for senior living communities, look for that opportunities of, a lot of times they'll call it aging in place. So what are the options that you have within that community that if your needs change, and the question is if, they might not necessarily change, but if they do, if your needs become more complex or you just things change, what can happen to you? Are there other places within that same community? Is it like a campus where you can move to another location? Are there additional services that can be brought in to kind of keep you there? And what's the cost and how does all that work and everything? Ask those questions up front because I think it's important. You're kind of looking at this as your long-term decision as
Definitely.
opposed to just the here and now.
Yes, being a person who's moved almost every year for the past 5 years, I highly recommend only
So you're
doing it
ready
once.
to settle down.
I'm very
There
ready.
you go. There you go. So then let's finally talk about the activities and amenities, what
Yes.
we call the engaged lifestyle, which is engaged. It's like, what does that mean to be engaged? But anyway, what do people say about that?
So that's a big thing, What's it going to be like to actually live there? Are you just going to sit in your room all day and go to dinner, or are there things going on? And it's very important, yes, Netflix is great, but we should probably do some other things as well. And so the different activities that are going to be there, if you live in Atlanta, are you going to, I don't know, maybe go to a Braves game?
Hey, there's
Why
that.
not?
We've
You
got
know,
an
there's
aquarium.
lots of
There's
stuff.
also, and every city has that.
Yes.
I mean, every market that we're in has that type of thing.
Yep.
And the whole goal with that engaged lifestyle we talk about is to fill your day with purpose. Is there a purpose in your day that's beyond watching the 4 a.m. news, the 5 a.m. news, the noon news, the 5 o'clock? I mean, you can like the news, like that's fine, nothing wrong with that. But how can you branch out? So, do people talk specifically about any particular things that they like doing?
Not too much in depth. It was more of just like having something to do. And a big thing was with all of the engagement directors and everything, if someone's loved one was in their room and not really doing anything, they would come and knock and be like, oh my God, we're going to yoga today. Or we have yoga today, come and join us, your friends are going to be there. And it's more of that lifestyle versus just
And it
you
goes back to the
moved.
community and the culture and the feeling of the people that you're working with. But yeah, I mean, that's something. So as you're shopping senior living communities, take a look at their activity calendars. And they may call it different things at different companies. That's fine. But what types of things do they offer on a daily basis? Is it just sort of like one big thing a day, or are there multiple things? A lot of times we like to even do like things that are kind of right back to back or even concurrently happening. So, we offer and kind of have different things happening for people who have different desires. So you could be more intellectual wanting
Right.
or more artistic. And
I think one of the other big things that I heard was really that the community cared what their loved one was actually interested in. Mm-hmm. It wasn't just, well, this is what we're doing, the end. It was, okay, you're interested in this, let's look at this, and maybe we'll add something else down the line that you might be interested in. It's a community, and you're taking participation from everyone.
Yeah. We actually use this software program that helps us do that. So we will kind of get a feel through a standardized process for understanding what makes people tick, what do they like and what do they not like. And then we kind of layer that on top of the activities we have planned and see, are there any gaps? Are we leaving anybody out? Right. But, if you are really into bridge, chances are there's somebody in your community that you're considering moving to who's really into bridge, and yes. you could start something if they don't already have a bridge club or whatever. You could start one, and and if there are other people who, as just using that as an example, who aren't really into bridge, maybe they could be, and you could teach them, and that's another way to get kind of connected with people. Yeah. And I think that you will find, I mean, who knows what you're thinking right now, but I think most people find when they move into a senior living community, their days are busier than they thought they were going to be coming out of it.
I definitely agree with that. I heard the exact same thing. They have so much is going on.
Absolutely.
Honestly, I'm looking at everyone's Facebook feeds and what everyone is doing. I'm a little jealous.
I know, they do such fun things.
Yes.
When I saw something the other day, they were like baking these little icebox cakes or pies or something up in New Jersey. Oh my goodness, it looks so good. But yeah, so there's cooking, there's gardening, there's a lot of communities have wood shops, art rooms, they do painting, they do sculpture, they do even just like discussion clubs, like reading groups, book club type things, but just current affairs. I know a couple communities have like a let's go sit around and talk about the news, or and hey, there's lots of things to talk about there. So, but there really is. I mean, I guess it's sort of cliche to say this, but there really is something for everyone, and you will find your way to fit in. That's pretty much guaranteed out of any of this. I mean, like we talk about the food and stuff, and our food is really good. But you might not like the food every single day. You might not like option A and B, but chances are you're going to like what's on the activity calendar every day, and you kind of forgive the other things and just be happy with the overall lifestyle. You look at it as a whole picture.
Yeah, definitely.
So, well, this is a fantastic list. Thank you for joining us.
Oh,
we've been going for, oh my goodness, we've been going for 30 minutes.
It's my fault.
Oh man, we're having so much fun over here. It's because we were talking about food.
It was. We got distracted. We're sorry.
Well, so where can people find us? I usually have to do this myself, but Mary Kate knows what's going on. So how can you learn more? How can people watch more episodes of this show?
SeniorLivingLive.com.
SeniorLivingLive.com, and Mary Kate assures us that we're going to have some past episodes. Is it already done, or are you just pointing?
Since we were talking, I'm not that great at multitasking, but they will be up before the day is done.
There you go. So we're about 20 episodes into this series of shows. So we're going to get those up there, and they're about a host of topics. Every Friday, we go live with this show, Fridays at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, and you can catch us at seniorlivinglive.com. You can catch us on Facebook. And right now, like today, we're streaming to all these different Facebook pages. We're still kind of figuring that out because that's a new feature that Facebook just released, and so we're learning about it. And what else? Oh, if you want to know when we go live, so go over to seniorlivinglive.com, and there's two things that you can do. Number one, over on the right-hand side, which for you would be this side, of the right-hand side of the screen, you can sign up. You can put in your email address, and we will typically send you out an email before we go live, like the day before or something like that. It could be 2 days before. It just kind of depends.
Sometimes the day of.
Yeah, just to let you plan that it's happening. There's also a link on that page that will let you sign up for Facebook notifications specifically. And so what happens there is we will send you a message via Facebook Messenger, which is like the chatting thing within Facebook, and we'll let you know when we go live. That's really convenient because it pops up right on your phone, and there's like a little link where you can just click it, and then poof, we're live right there. We usually send that one out like a few minutes before we go live. It's like right at the time. So.
And if you're ever on the Arbor Company page and see a scheduled live, you can always subscribe to that too to be notified.
Absolutely, yeah, on the Arbor Company Facebook page. So there's lots of different ways to know that, but ultimately, if you just go to where you're at right now on Fridays at 11, you will probably see us
Yes.
sitting here. And it's me every week, and then someone different. We've got Michelle Hamilton, who you saw last week. She's going to be more recurring as a co-host here. She's just not in town today. But Mary Kate happened to be in town, so you didn't have to just look at me by myself. We got 2 of us here, and we're so happy to have you today.
Oh,
Thank
I'm
you.
so happy to be here. Thank you.
Yeah,
This is great.
And this is the first time Mary Kate has actually set foot in the Arbor Company's office.
Yes.
The nerve center of this operation.
Yes.
So, what do you think?
I'm so impressed. I can't get over the setup of the Senior Living Live. It's amazing.
We are in like an 8 foot by 8 foot square right now. It's this tiny little space that we are in, but it feels larger through the magic of technology and the
Absolutely.
internet and,
It's very
and everything.
fancy.
So, well, thank you for joining us again today and
Yes.
sharing these insights with us. Again, seniorlivinglive.com. And if you have anything that you would like us to talk about in the future, or if anything resonated with you today, let us know in the comments right below this video. It doesn't matter where you're watching the video, we will get those comments and we will we'll respond to those, or we will add those into a future show.
Yeah, absolutely.
And with that, thank you for joining us. I am going to sign us out. You have a great week. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.